Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here, of course, and today we're going to talk about 4Ks as well, and all of these titles are basically MVD adjacent, distributed most of them by MVD, but they are various labels, and we're going to start with one of the heavy hitters here with Blue Underground and their new 4K UHD release of Enzo G. Castellari's Italian crime film High Crime, starring Franco Nero. And actually, it also has James Whitmore, sort of a classic, American science fiction actor is what I think of him as. But he did more than sci-fi. But it also has Fernando Rey and a host of others, including Castellari himself as a reporter. But anyway, so this one is it's a pretty cool Italian crime film from 1973. And just to give context, Castellari, a great genre director who did, westerns and thrillers and policier, action films. He did apocalyptic films. So like things like I love Kill Them All and Come Back Alive. I think that's a really great Western that he did. That's maybe one of my favorites. But in terms of the context, he had just done Father Jack Leg with Jack Palance in 72. Then he does this in 73, and then he does Street Law, also with Franco Nero in 74. But he'll go on to do like The Big Racket, Inglourious Bastards, Heroin Busters, The Last Shark. He does he does more than a trilogy of apocalyptic films. He does 1990 The Bronx Warriors in 82. He does The New Barbarians in 83 and Escape from the Bronx in 83. And he does even some other stuff beyond that. But definitely one of the stalwart, great Italian directors. This 4K is described as such. A headstrong Italian cop uncovers brutal murders in Genoa linked to Europe's lucrative heroin trade in the tradition of the French Connection, which it definitely is seemingly trying to take off on a little bit. I mean, it even opens with a really great car chase that really sets the tone. I would say there's not as much action as I expected throughout. It's more brooding drama in some ways, but there is some good action here and there. Franco Nero gives his most powerful performance as Commissioner Belli, a headstrong Italian cop who uncovers brutal murders linked to the heroin trade. When Belli and his family become targets, the obsessive cop turns the heat up in his fight to take down the smugglers importing the deadly dope from France. How much will Commissioner Belli sacrifice to bust the Marseille connection? And Fernando Rey, James Whitmore, and Delia Baccarado co-star in this violent, action-packed crime thriller from co-writer-director Enzo G. Castellari. Blue Underground is proud to present the film complete, uncensored version of High Crime from a brand new 2024 Dolby Vision HDR 4K master, loaded with hours of extras, which I'll get to. So what I have heard is that this film was often cut, and the last 10 minutes, which are definitely some of the best in the movie, were trimmed. And so this is the full 143-minute, I think, cut of the film, 185:1. And the audio is 1.0 DTS HD English and 1.0 DTS HD Italian. And of course has English subtitles and English for Italian audio subtitles as well. But it's in terms of these crime films, it's definitely an interesting one, and I do love the passion that Franco Nero has in this film. He's very impassioned and gets very excited about some things, and some bad stuff definitely goes down, and it gets intense. It's the Italians are not afraid to do things that maybe some American filmmakers might shy away from. So very solid, looks really, really great in 4K UHD. Now this includes a nice slipcase, of course, and I have the reverse artwork up here. It has a Blu-ray and a soundtrack CD, which is very cool. And the soundtrack, music composed, orchestrated, and performed by Guido and Maurizio De Angelis. And it's a very solid soundtrack. It's got some really cool sort of driving bits to it. And I do love that Blue Underground includes that kind of thing. Now, in terms of the extras, as you can see, it's broken down that the disc 1 with the 4K mostly has the commentaries, and there are multiple commentaries, and I'll get into that in a second. And the Blu-ray has some more of the features. But another great 4K release, as far as I'm concerned, from Blue Underground, who are just on a killer roll of 4K releases that is relatively unparalleled. I mean, Arrow is doing great work. There's definitely some other labels that are doing great work, but Blue Underground is just killing it. So first audio commentary is from co-writer director Enzo G. Castellari. Audio commentary number 2 is from star Franco Nero and filmmaker Mike Malloy. And audio commentary number 3 is with film historians Troy Horwath, Nathaniel Thompson, and Eugenio Ercolani. So you get those 3 all included on the 4K. You can check them out there. And then on top of that, you get the Genoa Connection, interviews with director Enzo G. Castellari and star Franco Nero. From Dust to Asphalt, interview with director Enzo G. Castellari again. And Hard Stunts for High Crimes, an interview with actor stuntman Massimo Vanni. The stunt folks in this film definitely got put through the ringer, as is often the case with Italian films, especially Italian crime films. Framing Crime, an interview with camera operator Roberto Girometti. The Sound of Onions, an interview with composers Guido and Maurizio De Angelis. And The Connection, featurette by Eurocrime director Mike Malloy, as well as an alternate ending. So yeah, just a really great package, great sound, great picture, and of course an audio CD soundtrack to boot. So really solid stuff from Blue Underground on 4K. Now, we have some other stuff here from, again, a very cool selection of labels. Now, this is an MVD visual, and this is a neat one because it is it's called the Linguini Incident, and it is from Richard Shepard. Now, Richard Shepard is a director that you know whether you think you do or not, and he has done some really interesting films. He's done things like The Matador. I'm a big fan of The Matador with, of course, Pierce Brosnan and Greg Kinnear and Hope Davis. That's a really cool film. If you haven't seen that, I'm a huge fan of that. But he did other things like The Hunting Party, I Knew It Was You, Rediscovering John Cazale, documentary. Something called Perfection, The Perfection from 2018 with Allison Williams. I think The Matador and The Hunting Party are 2 that really stand out. That he's just one of those directors that has a great sense of story and is, writer director. So often, bringing his own energy to these films. Now, the Linguini Incident is from 1991. And I don't think has been very easy to see for a long time. I remember we had this as a VHS when I was in my video store days, to date myself, in our art house section, if I recall, but it could have easily been a cult item too because of the cast, and I'll get to that. David Bowie and Rosanna Arquette being 2 of the principals. Lucy Rosanna Arquette is an underpaid waitress at Dali, a terminally hip New York restaurant who's seriously in need of cash. Dali's new, mysterious, charming, and very in-debt bartender Monty, that's David Bowie, needs to marry anyone by the end of the week or else. Together they join forces along with Lucy's lingerie designing best friend Viv, Esther Balint, who you will know from Stranger Than Paradise. I'm a big Esther Balint fan. To rob the popular eatery and solve their financial woes. However, these three are far from master criminals, and they soon learn that in robberies, as in love, things never go as planned. This lively and amusing romantic caper co-stars Andre Gregory, Demolition Man. I love that they list that as opposed to, say, My Dinner with Andre. Buck Henry. I want to say Andre Gregory runs the restaurant. Buck Henry, of course, screenwriter, actor extraordinaire, and Academy Award winner Marlee Matlin from Children of Lesser God, and features David Bowie's zaniest, most underrated film role in this engaging romantic comedy from acclaimed director Richard Shepard in this never-before-seen director's cut. Now, this is the director's cut of this film, so even if it had been available, which it wasn't easy to see, it was definitely not available in this director's cut version. So that's very exciting, and this is struck from a brand new brand new 4K transfer from the film Interpositive. And I know this is one of those releases that is done with a lot of love and care because it's done by Richard Shepard himself, and I've seen him championing this Blu-ray on social media, and I get very excited when directors get an opportunity to do something like this. So it has an introduction by Richard Shepard, commentary with Richard Shepard, actors Rosanna Arquette, Esther Balint, and co-producer Sarah Jackson, and co-screenwriter Tamar Bratt, moderated by Serial at Midnight's host Heath Holland. Big fan of Heath. Very excited to see him on this disc. And then there's a straight commentary by director Richard Shepard as well. On top of that, you have The Making of the Linguini Incident, a full-length documentary featuring interviews with Richard Shepard, Tamar Bratt, Rosanna Arquette, Esther Balint, Marlee Matlin, Sarah Jackson, Marcia Hines, and Richard Von Erst. And it says that's an hour and 45 minutes. That's crazy. That is a very feature-length documentary that's included. Photo gallery with commentary by Richard Shepard. Linguini Incident original theatrical version, 98 minutes, SD. This director's cut runs... is it shorter? Interesting. 93 minutes. Huh. So he cut it down. Oh, that's intriguing. 2024 theatrical trailer, reversible artwork, and it's one of those hefty packages. It's got a nice big booklet in it, and you can see that reversible artwork there. The booklet with essays from film historian Graham Rinaldi and director Richard Shepard. It's a decently thick booklet with essays, so that's wonderful. So this is one of those just sort of quirky 90s comedy releases that was like a bit lost to time in some ways. So I'm very happy to see it getting a nice Blu-ray. Moving on from that, we have several releases from the good folks at Radiance Films. We have first Tokujiro Lone Yakuza, and this one is another in their ongoing sort of series of Yakuza films. That's definitely been a big point of release for the Radiance folks. There's a lot of these films, and a lot of them like this one that I'm not familiar with. This one appears to be from 1966, which is cool. I do like 60s Yakuza films for sure. This one says, weary of the rigid codes of the underworld, gambler Tokujiro wanders Japan in search of freedom, but escape proves to be impossible when obligation to a gang boss leaves him with no choice but to kill a man. To atone for his crime, he vows to take care of his victim's widow and young son, but the gang won't rest until they've killed the entire family, including the man who stands in their way. With this breathtakingly stylized film, Tai Koto broke all the conventions of the Yakuza genre, fusing blood-spurting action with melodrama worthy of Japanese cinema's greatest masters. High-definition transfer, uncompressed mono PCM audio. Interview with film critic Koshi Ueno about the film's place in genre cinema. Visual essay on star Kinosuke Nakamura by Japanese cinema expert Robin Gatto. New and improved English subtitle translation. Reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Time Tomorrow. Limited edition booklet featuring new writing by scholar Ivo Smits and newly translated archival interview. So there is your other artwork and booklet. Very colorful, beautiful booklet included. So this one sounds intriguing to me. Definitely off my radar, I gotta be honest, most of the Radiance titles tend to be out of my wheelhouse. There are some, American film releases that I'm familiar with, but a lot of the Asian cinema stuff is just completely beyond me. So there's a lot to be discovered with Radiance, as is always the case. We also have one called 18 Years in Prison. And this film is from 1967. Also 235-1. Region A and B. Both of these so far have been Region A and B. The Linguini incident is all region, as is, I believe, high crime. Well, I know obviously the 4K is. Okay, so this one is described as trying to survive in the ruins of post-war Japan. Kawada and Tsukada run afoul of the military police after stealing some valuable copper wire. Kawada is arrested and sent to prison, but Tsukada uses their gains to start a Yakuza gang. Facing violent inmates and a cruel warden, Tomisaburo Wakayama from Big Time Gambling Boss, Kawada vows to escape and stop his former partner. Tai Kaito, another Tai Kaito directed film, directs this epic prison story with characteristic visual flair, while gangster-turned-actor Ando delivers a stunning performance charged with real-life gravitas. As an examination of the deep scars of wartime, this genre classic is also a clear precursor to Kenji Fukasaku's epic Making Battles Without Honor and Humanity series. So very cool to get a prison film in this series. I do like prison films. It's a very specific genre, claustrophobic, cruel, and can be stylishly done. And it's always interesting to see how different directors approach the genre and what they do with it. So this is another high-definition digital transfer, uncompressed mono audio. Includes an appreciation by critic and programmer Tony Raines, a visual essay on Japanese prison films by author Tom Mess, original trailer, newly translated subtitles, reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Time Tomorrow, and a limited edition booklet featuring writing by Ivo Smits and archival interview with Noboru Ando by Mark Schilling. So there's our reversible art and our lovely booklet. Very nice matte finish on this. Okay, so that is 18 Years in Prison from Radiance. And one more Radiance title. And this one is from 1983, 166-1. It is Chow Pantin. And again, I don't know these movies. It's just blowing my mind how much. I mean, you get to a certain point in your life, you're like, I've seen a lot of movies, and then you get labels like this that are just like, no, you haven't. And I'm like, yes, I haven't. Okay, so this one described as Ben Susan, Richard Akonina, is a small-time drug pusher in the 18th arrondissement of Paris. Being trailed by suspicious patrol cops, he takes refuge in a petrol station and strikes up a conversation with the night manager, Lambert. As Benusin continues to drop in on Lambert, they develop a friendship, but it isn't long before problems arise from Benusin, and Lambert feels a responsibility to the young tearaway. Slick and stunningly shot by Bruno Neuten, who shot Possession, I guess. This rain-soaked neo-noir was a multiple winner at the French César Academy Awards, taking home acting prizes for both leads. The film, anchored by their tender performances, a tale of friendship and revenge set within the fatalistic noir framework. Claude Berry's Ciao Pantin was a box office smash in France. Radiance Films is proud to present Ciao Pantin on Blu-ray for the first time outside of France from a glorious 4K restoration supervised by Neuten. So that's pretty cool. 4K restoration by Pathé, approved by cinematographer Bruno Neuten. I mean, just some still images from this look really, really compelling. Lots of beautiful night stuff in Paris, which is definitely one of my favorite cities to be photographed in films. It's just got a beautiful, architecture, the light, just the lights at night in Paris, and how it plays off the architecture. I mean, there's lots of things to be enjoyed in that. Uncompressed mono PCM audio. Once Upon a Time, Ciao Pantin, a documentary on the film featuring interviews with writer-director Claude Berry, novelist Alan Page, stars Richard Akonia, Mahmoud Zamouri, Agnes Sorrell, cinematographer Bruno Neuten, and others. 55 minutes from 2003 originally. Let's see here. Newly improved English subtitle translation. Newly commissioned artwork by Filippo de Battista. Limited edition booklet featuring new essay on Kalush by Manuela Lezic. And this is another Region A and B title. And it's got, again, that reversible artwork and a nice booklet as well. Yeah, this one of the three, well, I'm intrigued by all three, honestly. I can't say I'm not intrigued by a Japanese prison film, in the 60s. Yeah, Radiance really knows how to kind of get your attention. So that's good stuff. Now, moving on, we're going to shift gears a little bit to another great label, and that's Synapse Films. And this is their release of the film Crocodile. And Crocodile's from 1979. And you can kind of guess what the deal is with this one. But I do love me some animal attacks, as I've made quite clear here. And I do love Synapse. Like, they are very choosy about what they put out. They take their time, and I do love that level of commitment that they have. When Mother Nature rebels against humankind for defying her laws, she strikes back with unbelievable fury, creating the largest and most savage crocodile on Earth. There is a giant crocodile on the loose, mutating and getting larger, possibly because of an atomic explosion. The crocodile's thirst for blood also grows as it rampages through a small, quiet beach town, devouring everything in its path. Dr. Acomb and Dr. Strom are on a perfect family vacation, but it takes a tragic turn when 3 of their loved ones suddenly disappear. When the bodies are found, the 2 doctors conduct a thorough examination of the remains and discover that a killer crocodile is the culprit. Teaming up with Tanaka, a tough and rugged fisherman, Acomb and Strom head out to the dangerous open waters to find and destroy the beast once and for all. This Killer Croc classic, originally filmed in 1978 as Crocodile Fangs, was released in slightly different versions all around the world in its theatrical run. Synapse is proud to present the Blu-ray world premiere of Crocodile in its original U.S. release version, meticulously restored in the original English 35 camera negative. Now, this includes a commentary from film historian Lee Gambin, R.I.P., who was doing such great work, obviously just before he passed, and did tons of great commentaries for animal attacks movies, which were dearly beloved to him, as they are to me. Video interview with director Wan Si Lee. Deleted and alternate scenes. Newly translated English subtitles. This is one where I'd recommend going and checking out the trailer just to give you a sense of how nuts this movie is. I can't really do it justice. There's even just a little picture on the back that gives you a little sense of it. But I do love this kind of stuff, and this is one that I was aware of but had not seen, and was very excited to see Synapse put out because I know it's going to be the best possible version. This is an all-region disc, 235-1. Very curious about that commentary as well. So that's Crocodile from Synapse. Very cool. We have a 4K here. We have The Guyver, part of a series of films, I believe. This one has a really interesting cast, including Mark Hamill, Vivian Wu, Jack Armstrong, Jimmy J.J. Walker, Michael Berryman, and David Gale. And it's directed by, well, at least partially directed by Steve Wang, partially directed by Screaming Mad George, effects by Screaming Mad George, and this is an off-the-charts. If you're a fan of this movie, this is an absolute must. Like, this is one of those that when you hold it, it's pretty heavy because it includes multiple discs. You have your 4K, you have you have a Blu-ray, and then you have a soundtrack. So it's like a Blue Underground style release. But there's so much stuff to talk about here. Let's first describing the movie, which opens in a really fun and kind of crazy, cheesy 80s way. Although is it 91? My bad. But it feels like an 80s movie. In this thrill-a-minute action-adventure, Sean Barker is a college student who discovers the Guyver, an alien mechanical device that merges his own body, turning him into a super powerful cyborg fighting machine. The device belongs to Kronos, an evil corporation run by human mutants that metamorphise into monstrous soldiers called Zoonoids. Kronos badly wants the Guyver back and sends a gang of Zoonoids to kidnap Sean's girlfriend, that's Vivian Wu. Sean rescues Mizuki with the help of Max Reed, that's Mark Hamill, a CIA agent determined to keep the device from falling into the hands of Kronos. However, the rescue attempt is not completely successful, thereby triggering a series of epic battles between the forces of good and evil. Now, this is an Unearthed Films release, Unearthed Classics, and is, pretty crazy in terms of the effects. Screaming Mad George, one of the greats. So this is a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray soundtrack release, as I said. New 4K restoration of the original R-rated version from 35 camera negative by Unearthed Films. Blu-ray of the feature and all new extras. Guyver soundtrack composed by Matthew Morse. Plus, we have a booklet, of course. Disc 1 is the Ultra HD, new 4K restoration of the original R-rated 35 camera negative by Unearthed Films, presented in its 1:8:1 aspect ratio in HDR. New commentary with co-directors Screaming Mad George and Steve Wang, moderated by Dom O'Brien, the author of Budget Biomorphs, The Making of the Guyver Films. This has a 5.1 DTS track and a DTS Audio 2.0 track. Optional subtitles. Now, disc 2 is the Blu-ray, which has all that I mentioned there. Plus, it has many, many interviews. So it has that commentary. Then it has a new interview with producer Brian Usna, who, of course, worked on Reanimator and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. New interview with co-director Screaming Mad George. New suit test with commentary by co-director Screaming Mad George and Steve Wang. New outtakes with commentary by co-directors Screaming Mad George and Steve Wang. And new gag reel with both the co-directors, as well as new production and artwork gallery and an alternate title sequence. And that soundtrack CD I mentioned. So this is a really sweet release of The Guyver on 4K from Unearthed Films. Big recommend if you're into that. And then we have just a couple more from Eureka. We have a Jimmy Wang Yu film called A Man Called Tiger. And I swear this was run at the New Beverly within the last year or so. I want to say I went looking for a copy of this last year and it was not easy to find a good copy, so I'm very excited that this is out, as I'm definitely a Wang Yu fan. Chin Fu, that's Wang Yu, is a formidable martial artist who suspects his father's apparent suicide was actually a cold-blooded murder. His desire for answers and revenge leads him to Japan, where he becomes entangled with the Yakuza with the aid of his fellow countrymen, Liu Hanming, James Tian, and a nightclub hostess. Chin Fu sets out to infiltrate Tokyo's underworld, expose a criminal conspiracy, and uncover his father's true fate by any means necessary. Long rumored to have been planned as the third collaboration between Lo Wei and Bruce Lee, before Lee made his directorial debut with Way of the Dragon, A Man Called Tiger instead became a vehicle for another martial arts superstar, Jimmy Wang Yu. Eureka Classics is proud to present the film for the first time ever on Blu-ray from a brand new 2K restoration. I thought this wasn't on Blu-ray before. This now includes the 1080D HD presentation of the Blu-ray of the original Hong Kong theatrical cut from a brand new 2K restoration that's 79 minutes, and also a presentation 1080 of the rarely seen extended export version from a new 2K restoration that's 112 minutes, so considerably longer. Original Mandarin and classic English dub audio options in original mono. Original English subtitles newly translated for this release. Brand new audio commentary on the Hong Kong version by East Asian film expert Frank Zhang, New York Asian Film Festival. Brand new audio commentary on the export version by action experts Mike Leader and Arnie Venema. Reversible artwork, poster. So this has a slipcase. The posters in here and the booklet. And artwork is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to check this out in a much nicer version than I could find before. Very cool stuff from Eureka, continuing their excellent line of Asian cinema releases. And speaking of which, the last film we'll talk about is Double Crossers, The Double Crossers. So this Man Called Tiger is from, 73? The Double Crossers is from 1976. And from the director of The Skyhawk, Broken Oath, and King Boxer, John Chang-hwa's The Double Crossers is an action-packed revenge story produced by Golden Harvest, starring South Korean martial artist Shin Il-rong and featuring the legendary Sammo Hung. Following his late father's murder, police officer Detective Lung Shin discovers that both of his parents were involved in a smuggling ring, and his father was killed by its leader, a violent criminal now living in Hong Kong under the name Wang. Determined to avenge his father's death, Lung resigns from the police force to take matter into his own hands, teaming up with a smuggler who was once a close friend and partner in crime to his parents. Lung heads for Hong Kong and sets about drawing Wang into a trap. Following the footsteps of Golden Harvest's earlier Bruce Lee vehicles, The Double Crossers was made in the years following Lee's death, when the company was in search of a new generation of martial arts stars. Eureka Classics is proud to present the worldwide Blu-ray debut from a new 2K restoration. 1080p presentation on Blu-ray of the original Hong Kong theatrical cut from a brand new 2K restoration, and 1080p presentation on the Blu-ray of the original English language export cut from a brand new 2K presentation. I love that you get multiple options with these. Original Mandarin and optional classic English dub on the Hong Kong theatrical cut. Classic English dub on the export version. Optional English subtitles, newly translated. Brand new audio commentary on the Hong Kong version by East Asian film expert Frank Zhang. And brand new audio commentary on the export version by action cinema experts Mike Leader and Arnie Venema. Reversible artwork, limited O-card, collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by James Oliver. So lots of great stuff coming from the folks at Eureka. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. That'll do it, and I will talk to you very soon.